Your first question, I think, is really comes down to what, first of all, what you have and what you want to do. So there's licensing and there's franchising. Easiest way to distinguish is franchising is going to be it's like a turnkey system. It's very set up, all the processes, everything you look. First one we all think of obviously is a McDonald's. You walk into McDonald's, every McDonald's literally looks the same. Pricing is the same for the most part, but it's everything is very, very specific. It's controlled. You want absolute control over the entity. Whereas with licensing, it's more of if you own something, so any intellectual property that could be a product, that could be a business, that could be educational material, training material, literally anything that you have created that you own that we believe we can replicate, and more importantly, that we hope that someone else can utilize to allow us to get residual income. And so what we do is we kind of just figure out what do you have, what do you want, and then we just try to figure out how can we utilize that to get your name out and to make money for it. Because that's one of the big things with licensing, especially if you're trying to ramp something up. If you have all these entities running with your brand name, well, the brand experience, your brand name is going to grow rather quickly as well, if that makes sense.
It does. So how, we would all like to believe that our idea is one in a million and that everybody needs our widget. What factors, what's the realistic approach to analyzing whether you want or you should step up into duplicating your process?
Yeah, great question. I think there's a lot of research that has to go on, right? I think you have widget X, whatever that widget may be. You want to go out and you want to start Googling. You want to ask ChatGPT, I've got this. Who else has it, right? And more importantly, along that lines is if I have that widget, if it's a true product, let's say it's this phone, do I have the patent to it? Just because I have something doesn't mean that I really own it. So need to have proof of that. Same thing with like my business. I trademark the logos. I trademark, that kind of stuff. You trademark processes. So the key is you got to make sure you own it. You can have the greatest, idea in the world, but if you start to go out in the world and start spreading this, there's some smart kid out there, or guy or woman, and they go, wait a second. They go and trademark this name, and all of a sudden they're running with your product. And so, they can then take advantage on the backside. So first, you need to make sure you own it. Number two, then, is to find out, you hit on the head, is this a viable solution for someone? And who is that someone? If your solution is only going to benefit two people per se, well, it's really not relevant, meaning from the perspective of, it can be expensive to go through this process. Franchising, much more so. That's a big difference, by the way. Franchising will be 5 to 10 times, if not more, expensive than ever doing a license. But regardless, you don't want to waste time doing stuff if there's no end game out there. And so you do. It falls on you, first of all, to do the research. If we get down the line, we'll talk about this. But if you were to hire me to help you license, obviously it falls on me to try and help. But I generally won't even allow us to partner being a license. I'm not going to ask you to pay me if I don't really believe that the product or that there's value in this. I don't want to waste somebody's money either. Because you hit on the head, Mac. We all believe we have the greatest thing in the world, right? But if we can't really justify that or see a true end game, that's a tough game to, tough pill to swallow. So I'll generally say, let's do some more research. I'll do a little research on the backside, make sure I understand what you're trying to do, and let's see if it's a viable thing to franchise or a license at that point.
Well, in the processing and doing the research, how does somebody know? And that, it's funny. I've had my logo for 35 years probably. And that I went to a graphic designer. I kind of told her it was a Marine Corps thing, a nickname thing, and it went through. I had somebody a year ago said, oh, I've seen that logo before. I can't find it.
Right.
I don't know if they saw mine 20 years ago. How do you go about recognizing that you actually have the logos and have, I know that slogans and catchphrases are a
Right.
big deal. Like, um, uh, well,
It's going through the trademark process. I mean, truly, if you want to own it, it's going through the trademark process. And so if you hire someone, now you can do a lot of the work yourself. You can do search, you can search on that term, you can search for the logo. They'll go more in depth if you hire them to do that, meaning there's patent lawyers, there's trademark lawyers, they're all out there to do it. But even a simple trademark is going to run you about 1,500 bucks to trademark. And the kind of the going thing is, and we'll just use the hitch corner as an example. They want me to and I've already done it, but they wanted me to trademark the name Hitch Corner. But then also, like you were talking about, they also want you to trademark the logo. So that way, when you're getting out and you're utilizing it, your brand awareness is always yours. But there's work to be found. You hit it on the head though. You've already looked and you can't find it. That probably means, even if someone might be using it, if they're not really making anything off, I mean, if you can't find it, it's probably not worth a whole lot of time to keep looking for it. The issue becomes if you do find it now, then you have to hire a lawyer to do cease and desist. And so again, you want to make sure that they're doing something with it again before you waste money, trying to stop someone from using it that's really not affecting you per se.
well, and all of us are business owners, and we all know that the expenses can just eat you up. It's the nickels and dimes, and the people want you to do 10 times what you really need to do. How do you determine what is realistic? And because if you don't do something and somebody comes back, it probably could bite you even harder.
Yeah, I mean, I guess first and foremost, the kind of the rule of the trade, and meaning anything you're going to try and make money off of, is you need to own it. So, I mean, your first thing is I do believe you need to, if you're going to make a run at anything, trademark is your very first thing. At least trademark your logo, trademark your name. If you have, just like you asked, we all think we have the greatest widget. Well, if you think you have a great widget, you got to patent it, right? And Jim would be the great guy to talk to on that, but he's going to say the same thing, and
You're talking
you
about
can.
Jim Wilkinson.
Yes, I'm sorry, Jim Wilkinson. Correct, exactly. And that's one thing I always tell people is talk to the guys that deal with that stuff. I will always tell people, I've got trademark lawyers. Have a chat with them. They're not going to charge you at least to talk because they'll be honest too. They're going to say, this is what we probably need to think about trademarking. This is what I would recommend. And now you have a dollar figure in front of you to say, do you want to run with this? And so the key with anything, whether it's an educational product, whatever, is just knowing that you own it. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to trademark everything, but you need to make sure that you have a process in place of showing that you've created it, you've utilized it, maybe you presented it at, different events, maybe even presented on Mac's podcast. It's like you want to have proof that you've done something with it so that if something comes down on the backside, you can say, I did own that. Now there might be some other issues there, but at least you want something, tangible to say, yes, here's all my notes. This is when I used it first. These are all my notes of creating it. You can still help yourself and do things with licensing without a true trademark. It's just not always in your best interest.